I got promoted. I got this big job, my first really responsible job, recruitment. So me and Bobby Burns was an ex-hitman, and I totally admired him. He and I would go, and it was the most fun thing. We'd get on the train, and we'd go to Manhattan, to the VA on 23rd. And the best part was he and I would walk down 23rd Street together, and he would show me the best ways to break into buildings. And I would just sit there, like, I was so excited. I was like, yeah, show me, show me. And he'd say, okay, you see that place over there? Okay, that one you drop from the roof and you swing into the windows, you know? And I'd be like, well, what if the windows are closed? Or blah, 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 blah. And then he'd show me, like, fire escape things. And, oh, I admired him so. And he made everything so interesting. I never looked at a building the same way again. We'd get to the VA, and we'd go up to the locked ward. I did not like the sound of that, like, closing locked door and then another locked door. And then we'd get there, and there'd be all these guys stoned out of their minds on methadone. Some of them had Purple Hearts, and they'd all just come from Vietnam, and they were not a happy bunch of guys. And Bobby would sit there. Now, he had a face like Charles Bronson. Actually, if Charles Bronson was run over by a tire with nails sticking out of it, that's what this guy looked like, okay? And he'd kind of sit there, and he was about 45, and he'd be like, I used to be, you know, kind of a violent person, but now, I'm in Phoenix House, and I'm feeling a lot better. And he'd talk about that for about 10 minutes, and then I would say something like, and I'm 15, and I'm in Phoenix House, and I just love it. And then we leave, and then we go all the way back, and he'd be showing me this, and showing me that, and showing me this, and showing me that. So, and then the biggest news of all came, I could go out to school. I could go out to school. I couldn't believe it. So I started going to school at Satellite Academy all the way down on Chambers Street. And I would have to get up about 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe earlier. And the ferry wasn't even running. There was a little boat with Captain Pete. And we'd go to City Island, then we'd walk to the bus. Then I'd take a bus to the train, the number 6, from the first stop to the last stop. Helen Bay Park stop to Chambers Street. And then I'd walk a few blocks to school. I still think it's almost the longest commute that I ever had to do. I get to school, and the whole school it was an alternative high school, was on the one floor. And the coolest thing I remember about that school was that we all leave for lunch. The entire school would go take a lunch at the same time. And half the school would go and actually buy lunch, and the other half would go and buy drugs. Now, I was still so brainwashed and so afraid that it wasn't it, but I would go with the druggies, because those are the cool people, those are my friends. So we'd all go, and there was this, we'd go to right around Pace University under one of those bridge underpass things. There was this horseshoe-shaped, cement-like place, and on the rim of the horseshoe, all the dealers would stand, and like magicians, they would open their coats, and they'd have every kind of drug you've ever seen in your life in the coat. And you could just point out whatever. Anyway, finally, a teacher followed everybody with binoculars from an overpass, and everybody got busted, but thank God I hadn't gone that day, because it would have been day one in Phoenix House for me. I mean, who would have believed I was just standing there with some friends while they scored? Nobody.